pleased to be here. So I'm looking forward to the next few days and getting to know everybody. Okay, just a few, well, I mean, Austin's already given a very good introduction to NewMind. Yeah, as he said, it was established in 1999. We set the company up as a generic digital company in the early days, but we very quickly established a tourism focus, and we now work exclusively with destination management, destination marketing organizations. We employ 60 people, and over that time we've become the leading supplier of technology solutions to public sector tourism in the UK, Scandinavia. So our main office is in Liverpool. We also have other offices around the UK, and we've got offices in Oslo and Bergen in Norway. So the UK clients, we cover nearly all of the UK as far as destinations. We have our solution rolled out across most of the UK, and here's a selection of our UK clients working with everybody from country level, Visit Scotland, Visit Wales, to regions like the South East. We've also got counties like Cheshire and Lancashire, destinations, Liverpool, Bristol, Bath and so forth. Even tiny districts like the Outer Hebrides are all running from the platform. Okay. In 2013, we merged with a similar company here that was based in Oslo in Norway. Here they had a very good market share of the Scandinavian market, running their solution for destinations in Norway, Sweden and Denmark. In terms of the client base, very proud to have clients like Fjord Norway, Visit Bergen, Visit Costa del Sol, and we've got some quite unusual destinations there. If you look at, I believe this has got a, oh there we go. This destination here, don't know anyone know where Svalbard is? First question of the day. Patrick, Norway, that's right, deep in the Arctic Circle, probably about 500 kilometres into the Arctic Circle, population of 2,000 people and 3,000 polar bears. So it's probably the most northerly destination on the planet. And earlier this year, we launched probably the most southerly destination on the planet with the Falkland Islands. So if you like penguins, go and check that solution out as well. And we've done our first solution in Ras Al Khaimah, which is one of the United Arab Emirates, just about an hour's north of Dubai. So we've been working very hard with them on their e-tourism solution. So there's a good spread of clients getting outside of Europe now as well. Okay, what I thought I would do for this talk, given the sort of the mix of the audience, was I thought we could do some digital travel trends for 2017 going into 2018, and talk about how that is changing the digital landscape. Then we'd have a look at how that affects the customer journey for a visitor, when they're planning and booking a trip. And then what we follow on to then is the sorts of digital solutions that destinations need to employ in order to, if you like, play well within this digital landscape and achieve success. And it's becoming, it's quite a complex environment, as I hope you'll see. Right, okay, so digital travel trends for 2017 then. Number one. Okay. When I was doing the research for this, I found there was quite a few things that just surprised me. This graph here is from the population, is based on an American population demographic, but I think the same plays out for a lot of the world. Is that the Millennials, those pesky teenagers from 15 years ago with attention deficit disorder, they're all grown up now. They've got jobs, they're buying houses, they're starting their own families, and they're going to be the biggest generation in history. If you look at the numbers here, I think with Generation X, my generation, I think there must have been some low birth rate. There must have been something else better to do in the evening. But with the Millennials, very similar birth rate to the baby boomers. But as life goes on, those guys are not around as much anymore. So the millennials over the next, well, actually at the end of 2018, they'll be the biggest generation. Not sure who these silents are. I thought they were a Doctor Who monster, but anyway, moving on. So, what do we know about the millennials? So, from a tourism perspective, we need to bear in mind their importance. I think there's been a lot of talk about the millennial generation being the first generation in a long time that have not been as wealthy as their parents, which is not a good thing. One of the things, though, is that they may be money poor, but they're time rich, and they spend 66% longer on average on their holidays, and spend more as well. Despite we thinking of them as impetuous youths, well, that's not true necessarily. 50% of them are booking their trips 6 to 12 months in advance, and that's certainly a lot more consideration than I think I give to my trip planning. And 5 out of 6 of them will choose to use social media, and connect with companies that they're buying their travel experiences from. But if they do engage with you on social media, you need to interact with them. They don't expect to be ignored, so we can't pay lip service to our social media strategies with regard to this very large demographic. So pay attention to the millennials is tip number 1. Okay, number 2, the rise of the independent traveller, and travelling solo as well. Here, this is on the rise. Graph here, this is from Google Trends, just showing over the last 10 years or so, the volume of searches that are all about independent travel and travelling alone. This is something that destinations actually are very well placed to capitalise upon. When I say destinations, I mean destination management organisations, tourist boards, and so on, because effectively a tourist board, the solutions they're putting in place are really to enable independent travel. They're allowing you to plan your own trip. They're inspiring people, putting a trip together yourself and booking it yourself. Okay. And then following on from that, don't underestimate the importance of the female traveller. So again, huge increase in women travelling either in groups or alone. This statistic, it didn't really surprise me, but it's quite striking though. 80% of travel decisions are made by women. And if you're in a family, you know that's true, and I'm not going to argue with that statistic, but it does seem very high. And this is regardless of what the trip is for, where you're going, who's going, or who's paying for the trip. 80% of the decisions will be made by women. The average adventure traveller is not the 20-year-old male on a gap year. 47-year-old female woman is the, if you like, the average adventure traveller. And 75% of those taking nature, adventure or cultural trips are women. And because of this, there's been a 230% increase in the number of businesses that are totally geared around looking at the needs of women, either in groups or independently. Things like Girls' Guide to Paris and so on. So that's a huge increase in those type of companies who've seen this market opportunity. I won't play this video, but it's one of our clients, Go North Wales, and obviously it's a very rural destination. Lots of activities and climbing and walking and so on. And they produced this video. I mean, you can find it on YouTube. It's easy to find. And what it features is a young woman on her own, just walking through beautiful Welsh landscapes, walking up Snowdonia, just travelling around. And it was when I first saw it, I was quite surprised. I thought, why are they doing that? But then when I saw the research about the rise of the female traveller and so on, it made a lot of sense. But it's a nice video. Okay, number 4. This is another statistic that did surprise me. I thought we'd passed this point years ago. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been booking online travel for as long as I can remember. But apparently, it'll only be at the end of this year that Europe will be the first region on the planet where online overtakes offline in tourism spend. Does that surprise anybody else? I thought we'd reached that point, but I think what it is by volume. So I think maybe the bigger travel expenditure, maybe conferences, business travel, maybe big family holidays. Maybe we've done that through travel agents, and it's been the smaller things that we've done online. But anyway, that point has finally been breached, or will be, in the next few months. Okay. Tours and activities, the key sector. This year and going into next year. Again, we've been booking hotels forever, online. And I actually think this is the fault of companies like Newmind in a way, because booking a double room, in a 5-star hotel, booking a double room in a bed and breakfast, it's easy. It's easy to commoditize that. It's easy to programmatically deal with that use case. And so therefore, software companies, they roll out booking engines for hotel systems like they're going out of fashion. But dealing with activities is far more complex. I mean, if you imagine, going dog sleighing in Norway, or if you imagine going white water rafting in Wales, or you go on a ghost tour in the city of Bath, then these are all very different activities, but they all come under this idea of tours and activities. And subsequently, the software to deal with that has been playing catch-up. However, all the signs are that this year, this is now the sort of big new area for online travel. This figure here, 55%, a lot of disagreement on this figure. We work with a number of ticketing type companies, and I get figures everything from 80% to 40%, but I think probably 55% is probably about right. Depends where you are in the world, but of these type of businesses that are still not bookable online. And wrong one. The biggest sign that this sector is growing is these players here: TripAdvisor, Airbnb, Google. TripAdvisor, they've heavily invested in Viators. I don't know whether you've come across that. Airbnb, anyone used Airbnb? Yeah? They've got their magical journeys. So the idea, go and stay somewhere, but also have an experience. You don't go to Sri Lanka to stay at the Movenpick Hotel. There's more to it than that. And so having an experience, Google Trips, all these big international companies that are investing heavily now in the tours and activities sector. The providers themselves, when I say providers, I mean the actual, the small businesses that are in this sector, they typically earn 30 to 40% more once they put in place some kind of online booking engine. And TripAdvisor, I mean, their hotel sector, the accommodation part of their business, declined about 6% over the last 12 months, whereas their tours and activities sector, that grew 35%. VC-backed businesses, they have to demonstrate growth. So, this is why they're all piling in now to this largely overlooked sector. Okay, key trend number 6. Consumers are cutting back spending on material goods in favour of spending on experiences. Now, I think this is a good thing, actually. And we can find lots of examples where that's true. We don't spend a huge amount of money anymore on CDs, for instance, but we will spend hundreds of pounds to go and see that artist that we like, who's playing a concert nearby, and we will invest in the experience that gives us. And this graphic here, I mean, you might not be able to see, it's not that important, but what it is, different countries along the bottom, and showing how prevalent they are to say they would like to spend money on an experience rather than some material goods. And if you like, the experience is becoming the new status symbol. So we've got Mexico on the left. Say 75% of Mexicans would prefer to buy an experience, and against 25% of them who prefer to buy some material goods. But even over here on the Germany and France, where apparently they're the most materialistic, but it's still sort of 58% of them would prefer an experience, and particularly the Millennials as an age group are particularly prefer the experience side of things. Okay. Planning and booking a holiday is now a multi-device experience. So what does that mean? Okay. Well, 65% of travel searches now start on a mobile device. So we've all got these smartphones in our pockets, iPads, tablets, phablets, and so on. And however, only 18% of online travel booking is currently done on mobile. So that's interesting, isn't it? We research and we plan the trip on our tablets and mobile devices. But when it comes to do the serious business of putting the credit card information in, we switch to some kind of desktop or laptop computer to do that. So that gives us pause for thought, really, about the solutions. 94% of travellers switch between devices as they plan or book a trip. 68% of leisure travellers worry that they're not finding the best price. So I think maybe this gives us an indication that perhaps our responsive solutions for these mobile devices aren't quite as good as we think they are, because the customer is not convinced here that they've seen everything there is on the smaller screen, which is why we're seeing this big change of switching device. And that shows, even in the last few years, this switch to a multi-device mode. I think a lot of this is also driven by the technology itself. I mean, if you use Google Chrome, for instance, if you're using that on your phone or on your Android tablet, when you go onto your desktop, the same website can be carried across, that passing on idea from one application to the other, as long as you're still logged on with your Google account. And I think this helps that. But it also shows how many times we're using the opportunity to glance at our phones, to do that sort of research. The technology enables us to switch devices, so we are doing that. So we need, when we're presenting our destinations or our tourism businesses, we've got to cater for this behavioural change, if you like. 75% of internet users in the UK. So this is a UK statistic, but I would assume that there's similar statistic in other regions. Regularly consume travel content while they're online. So that's 2.4 billion minutes spent on digital travel content, and that's a 44% increase year on year. So it's well worth you investing in. So the video that we saw before, this sort of inspirational content, is well worth investing in, because there's a huge appetite for it. This is another interesting one. I think we used to say that people, when they're booking a holiday, would, over a period of about 30 days, look at maybe 30 website sessions before they actually commit to doing a booking. And looking at it now, I mean, these figures are from the UK, Canada, and the States. But we're looking at in the UK, 121 sessions from 45 days prior to booking. It's not 121 different websites. 121 different sessions, and I imagine some of these are little bits where you're waiting in a meeting, waiting for a meeting to start. Oh, I'll just check online, check the prices, or I'll just go on, perhaps share some ideas with my family about the next holiday. Different ways in which we use technology. Guest Link is our own booking engine that we've developed that's used by some 3,500 accommodation providers. Lots of integrations with e-payment providers like WorldPay and so on. We also push availability up to the likes of Booking.com and TripAdvisor, so it's giving integration for the small providers up to those big international players. And we also integrate with some 15 or 20 other booking engines just to get the most availability into the platform and to allow, really trying to be technology agnostic in a way. So we're not enforcing a technology solution on lots of different providers, but we think the right positioning for the tourist board here is to integrate with a lot of other platforms in order to provide the complete market. So that's the accommodation booking. Then on the website, in order to produce the sorts of websites that meet the expectations of the modern visitor, that you can't do this with something like WordPress or something that's generic. We've developed proprietary software that deals with the use cases of dreaming, all those, if you remember the customer journey, all of those phases, the official destination website has to hit each of those points. And there's a lot of technology that goes into doing that. So again, clearly multilingual is important. User-generated content, so we aggregate all the reviews from multiple review platforms, TripAdvisor being just one of them, and blogs, being able to bring in blogs from different sources to help tell the story of the destination. Social media, not just the social media of the destination itself, but also each and every tourism business we can be featuring on a page about the Beatles Story Museum. We can have their Facebook stream, we can have their tweets, their Instagram, so they're helping to tell the story of the destination too. It's not just accommodation booking. We talked about tickets, tours and activities being the growth area, the idea of experiences, so we need to be able to book those. If you go to visit Liverpool, there's probably 30 different attractions and activities that you can book online through Web Ticket Manager, as one example. We also integrate with Ticketmaster in Norway and DigiTicket and other platforms. Mapping, everyone loves maps. I don't know why that is. It's probably on any of our websites, probably in the top 3 search terms, people just want a map. They want to be able to visualize where they are and where everything else is in relation to that. So we do a lot of work integrating with dynamic mapping, allowing people to switch in different map layers, stylized maps, and so on. SEO, search engine optimization, all the analytics, to be able to understand what the customer's doing and be able to channel them to the information that they need. That's all very important. And booking affiliates, not just accommodation and attractions, but we also need to be able to book car hire, golf times, restaurants, parking. And we've got a series of widgets that facilitate that. These are the sort of outer rim, if you like, of the solution, but there's a lot of content here, and been defining what is the minimum data set for any given sector is really important, so that if the information is collaboratively being collected, you want the system to be able to police that and say, well, I'm not going to publish your hotel record unless I've got a 300-word description, 4 high-resolution images, link to your website, the accessibility statement filled in, whatever it is, so the system can effectively police the data that's being collaboratively pulled in. Event submission, a lot of the data is quite static, but event organisers, any destination can have thousands of events, and you need an easy way in which you can pull in those events, curate them, publish the ones that you want. So our event submission and approval module deals with that. And finally, the business reporting. All of this activity creates a huge amounts. We've got terabytes of data about tourism building up on our servers, and people need ways in which you can really dive into that data and extract learning both for the destination and its providers. In many ways, the data that's being collected through all these digital means is a crystal ball on the coming season, because people are looking now for holidays they're going to have next week, next month, and in the future. So if we can make that available to the providers and the destinations ahead of the season, then that's hugely beneficial. So we're putting a big investment in big data, and this is our data, and I'm very excited actually about the sorts of information that we'll be able to reveal. So next time I do this presentation, it'll be made up of our own stats, not just ones that I've found from Forbes and the other research companies. So that is our vision, if you like, of an e-tourism solution. This is what we've spent the last 20 years building, and we're constantly reinvesting in that. Very interested to hear your ideas and what you think would constitute one. But that concludes my talk. So hopefully it was about 45 minutes. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them either now or over